Okay, up to you, Michael. Welcome.
Okay, great. Short presentation myself. First, my name is Mikael Hällström, coming from the Finnish Tax Administration and working there as a development specialist for a number of different themes, mostly regarding digital services and digitalization in general. In the later years, now in my pretty long career already at the tax administration, I've been working mainly on a governmental level, dealing with the interoperability issues and the kind of generic development of digitalization capabilities in the public sector in Finland and also in the society in general. So in that context, I've been involved then for a number of years already in the eIDAS 2.0 discussion and the promotion of digital identity and digital wallets. I was first participating through our organization in one of the first 4 large-scale pilots, the EWC. That was in 2023 to 2025. And then our organization decided to join the next step of large-scale pilots regarding the digital wallets and identities. So we are participating in WE BUILD large-scale pilot, which started in September last year, and will continue for 24 months. And it's mainly from those contexts that I've gathered some material about the subject EU Business Wallet. And I've held this same presentation actually in a Nordic context at the end of January in Copenhagen. So I'm mainly borrowing the presentation materials from there. And if you're interested, then I have also another kind of dimension to the subject, and it's the work that I'm leading in WE BUILD, the large-scale pilot. I'm the lead of Working Party 4 Semantics. So the semantic group, which is kind of trying now to promote the thought of having semantically interoperable electronic attestations of attributes circulating in the wallet ecosystems and environments. And we, in our small group in WE BUILD, we think that this will be crucial, especially for business contexts, that the information that you share as a business to other business partners and to the government, or receive from other business partners and from the national governments, that it should really be the information should be constructed so that it's semantically interoperable, that we have already perceived that the attestations to be circulated are pretty complex in the business area compared to what they look like in the personal wallets. But I'll come to that also in this presentation. Let's just hope that the presentation works, because this is first time I'm trying this keynote application here on my private computer. Okay, it seems like it works. So some key questions regarding the presentation. In my mind, we should ask what becomes possible when wallets are designed for businesses rather than people. And why have this discussion now? Well, the EUDI personal wallets, they are now reaching deployment phase. For instance, in Finland, we have been promised by the Digitalization Agency that we will get our national wallet by Christmas this year. So that's pretty soon, actually. Then the EU Business Wallet proposal that was published in November last year by the European Commission, and it's to certain parts it diverges from the propositions and the work on the EUDI personal wallets, and it should, because there is actually a risk that we would replicate in the work on the EU business wallets, that we replicate the mobile identity thinking in business contexts, that we just restrict ourselves to think that the wallets are tools for identification and authentication, and then also the technical format that it would be a mobile application based capability. But there is now an opportunity to move away from identity presentation and actually move towards if possible, automated business processes that would rely on the key capabilities of the EU business wallets once they are in place. And if we compare the present approach, at least regarding the personal EUDI wallets, and what the EU business wallet should look like, I've compiled this short comparison table here. And the dimensions are then the mobile EUDI wallet for persons and the EU business wallet for economic operators. So we have the difference, first of all, in the primary subject who is using the wallet to present information about him or herself or itself. The EUDI wallet is for natural persons, where the business wallet is aimed at economic operators. And that's a very quite a complex group of actors or entities. We're talking about both natural persons and legal persons and different kind of combinations of these. And the common factor here is that the agent or the entity should be doing business. So it's acting in its professional or trade role when using the EU business wallet. The attestation sources also regarding the personal wallets, very likely very much public register-based information. We will get a driver's license and a personal ID and maybe a passport and things like that. Then again, on the business side, these attestation sources should not only be restricted to public registers. Actually, it's quite important also that we enable self-issued business documents so that we don't restrict kind of the usage scope of the wallet to just certain types of attestations, but enable also that basically anything that is in exchange as information between business partners or from businesses to government and vice versa should be able to be exchanged in the format of electronic attestations of attributes, aka verifiable credentials. Then an interesting difference here also, as we see it at the moment, the runtime, the mobile EUDI wallet, probably there's a human in the loop deciding what information to share, either in proximity cases or in online cases. So a person is operating his or her mobile phone and sharing information on request. But the business wallet, already in the discussions we have had previously and now in WE BUILD, it's very much focused then on machine-to-machine interactions. So there should actually be two business parties who have their own internal IT systems, and the business wallet is just enabling secure and trustworthy communication between the internal IT systems. So that's quite a big difference, or should be. And usage pattern, mobile EUDI wallets for persons, they are most probably used a bit episodic. I mean, you don't present your driver's license every day, probably, and you don't present a passport or a vaccination certificate or whatever. It's more episodic, but business wallets should be seen as continuously used business tools that are in use all the time, and especially if they are designed so that they can be used by internal IT systems, then this will be the case. So the automation potential here, especially for business processes, is quite high, whereas no one has really discussed about how much the mobile EUDI wallet for persons would enable process automation. So this could be seen as the main differences between the approaches of the two types of wallets. And from where actually do I get this? Oh, I have still my headphones on here in the background. Yeah, the origins of the business wallet idea. So what I was telling just actually, this emerged from when we have started work on this concept and the subject a couple of years ago already. So we did some early conceptual work on the business wallet idea already in the Nordic public sector corporation called Nordic Smart Government and Business. There was a specific program for the topic, and we discussed the possibilities of wallets designed for business use and what they should look like. That was more on a conceptual level. And in parallel with that, we in Finland also had a specific program for a real-time economy focusing on different parts of the what a company, how a company should be able to digitally interact with its partners and with the government also. So mainly focusing on reporting to government regarding taxation and things like that, but also about how to interact with the business partners. And then once we got started with the large-scale pilots, then in the EWC especially, we had a specific part of the whole consortium was dealing with what we called at that time organizational legal identity. And that discussion then developed actually into discussing also what the tools should look like when an organization has a digital identity, when a legal person has a digital identity. And very soon we turn to the assumption that the wallets used should look a bit different than the personal wallets. And then today, the ongoing WE BUILD, of course, continues the work. So we had already some large-scale pilots during EWC where we piloted actually some sort of business wallets and looked at mainly at that point at the KYC process. So know your customer. The key case was opening a bank account in a foreign country for a corporate customer, and then also public procurement was one of the main cases for the business wallet development. But the core insight in all of these initiatives and projects was that business processes cannot really depend on human wallet interaction. There needs to be a possibility to connect the wallet to the IT system infrastructure of the companies itself. Even smaller companies have in place ERP systems and things like that are needed. I had some pictures taken from the EWC materials to describe the type of interactions that we identified in the business context. And there are 4 pictures here which lead then to the fourth one, which is the machine-to-machine interaction. But I'll just walk through these descriptions of how a wallet could be used in business contexts. We have first the traditional basic way of using a digital wallet. If it's a mobile wallet, an EUDI wallet, there's a user. It could be a natural person, but it could also, of course, be a wallet issued to a sole trader, for instance. So the usage would be in business situations, and the relying party to the right will receive all the attestations when the user decides to present them from its wallet. And the user also, of course, requires asks for issuance of new attestations from a service then on the other side by operating his or her mobile phone-based wallet instance. So that's the kind of basic starting point. Then we started to discuss also whether actually there is the wallet-to-wallet communication for a legal person would be based on that there would be a specific wallet application actually, and not a smartphone. And that would lead to the possibility to develop business wallets that would still be operated by a person, but they would be server-based. So we would move away from the mobile wallet-based application to a wallet instance that would be that could be used over a browser interface or some other interface instead, and that would enable some other possibilities than the EUDI wallet, the mobile phone-based wallet then. And then the kind of more interesting discussion regarding the types of business wallets was the next step, where we discussed the possibility to actually separate kind of the wallet instance from a application, that you would have an internal system actually that would discuss with the wallet and the end user still in place there. This process is not totally automated. There's a person inside the company who is dealing with some internal business related application, and then the application itself discusses with the wallet instance and relates the information that is necessary to send to the holder. or to receive from the holder. So it acts kind of like a postage office or a relay capability here between the internal web applications of a company, and there would be an interface then between the wallet and the internal systems of the company that would be used by the end user. But then kind of the most interesting possibility and scenario for the business wallet would then, or especially for the business wallet, probably not for the personal wallet, but in the business case, it would be the fact that internal systems could be somehow allowed to interact in certain processes. There would be some rules or algorithms or user-initiated processes, automated processes that would allow an internal system to discuss with the business wallet of the company, and then allow it to send or receive information from a relying party. So this could lead then to a pretty much automated business process where the rules for the process and the procedures, policies, and things would be instigated somewhere else, and then the wallet would just act as a way of exchanging trustworthy and information between the parties. So these 4 scenarios are still like the ones that all the discussions are building upon. Even in We Build, the new large-scale pilot, we haven't really the different use cases who are going to pilot things haven't really decided yet on which type of wallet they will try to test in the upcoming pilots starting next autumn. So there will be a combination probably of using a EUDI personal wallet, and then if we have in place organizational of these business wallets that could work in the piloting stage at least, then we will use them also. But some use cases are going to use this type of an approach, that there are automated systems discussing with the wallet instance, and they exchange the information between the parties. Just as a high-level comparison, and then also regarding the Commission proposal, whether the EU Commission business wallet proposal, the regulation proposal from last November, does it support this sort of a thinking? So regarding the EWC in the large-scale pilot, in the outputs and the white papers and things, reports that we produced last year, we saw then the wallet that it's a business system component, and the emphasis in the discussions and in the writings were on automation, semantics, that we should have semantically interoperable attestations to be shared, and also event-driven processes that would just kind of kickstart a process where the wallets would then exchange information between the business partners as automatically as possible. So there will be a strong role for verifiable credentials then beyond only identity and authentication. It's actually the whole business process would be carried out between the wallets of the parties. And we think when you read the business wallet proposal from the Commission that it actually supports this sort of thinking also. There is a broad functional scope mentioned, that it's not only in the interaction between businesses and government that the business wallet should be used, but also in B2B processes. The business wallet regulation proposal does include some legacy trust service assumptions. There's for instance, the mention of the QERDS functionality for just exchanging messages between different parties, and quite a lot of participants in the discussion, both in We Build and on a national level, have been a bit worried about the introduction of this type of a possibility to just send messages, or maybe even PDF documents or things like that, which would then need to be acknowledged by the other party as messages from a business partner to a government or so forth. So we hope that the focus in the development of the business wallet would focus very much on the actual verifiable credentials, aka electronic attestations of attributes, that it would be in that format, structured information that would be exchanged, and then hopefully also in a semantically interoperable format. So then my speciality, of course, in We Build large-scale pilot, and otherwise also I've been promoting myself as a proponent of semantical interoperability. And in this context, it's pretty much related then to the technical formats of these attestations, aka verifiable credentials, because the eIDAS regulation acknowledges 3 different formats for the attestations. We have MDoc from the mobile driver's license. Then we have the ITF's SD JWT, SD JOT format, and then as the third allowed and partially promoted format, we have W3C VCDMs. And from a semantical interoperability point of view, our small semantics group is very much trying to push for the implementation of W3C credentials because, as you, I think you well know, they enable structured and machine interpretable claims, and they do enable selective disclosure also, and so forth. So it's what is crucial also that they allow the alignment with business vocabularies and ontologies. So you can use JSON-LD to point to an underlying vocabulary, and that enables then the exchange information to be semantically interoperable when the receiving partner can check the vocabulary and the ontology under that. What does this information mean from my point of view? And the relationship with MDoc and the IATF SDJOT, this link between the actual attestation and the underlying possible vocabulary is broken. So you cannot verify actually the semantics of an attestation online in that sense. And what we have discussed quite a lot in different contexts is, of course, the hype of the season. So AI agent and agentic AI is a hot topic everywhere. Also, for instance, in the Finnish public sector, and what we have reached as a conclusion now is that actually agentic AI, it requires stable meaning and predictable data structures to not hallucinate too much, and that would mean that it would be very beneficial if we would have in place business vocabularies and ontologies, and those would be combined then with the information shared between business partners and business and governments through the business wallet would be of the W3C verifiable credential type, because then the semantics would be in place and the business infrastructure would be more AI ready than without this connection. That's what we believe, at least in this context. I had some use cases here. I'm wondering, I'll go through a couple of examples from the business wallet, how we thought that in both EWC and now in We Build, how the business wallet should be promoting these the goal of business process automation. I'll just show the first actual business wallet case that we had in EWC. It's not about automation so much, or it could be, but anyway, I'll just show what type of business cases the digital wallet in business context has been proposed to be used in. This is an example where we have a person called Rami, and he's traveling on a business trip somewhere and using Greek ferries to get from Greek islands to another island. And since he's on a business trip, he can charge for his travel expenses from his employer. So in our first EWC use case and pilot, actually, we tested this, that Rami would have a personal wallet and receive a verifiable receipt from the seller of the ferry ticket. And since that expense was a travel expense, then Rami would need to present the receipt to his employer in order to get some money back from that. So that was done through the personal business wallet, personal wallet of Rami. But at the same time, we tried also another version where actually Rami knew simply just the address of the employer's business wallet, we call it company wallet at that time, and had the possibility to share it with the selling company. So the Fast Ferries received the address of, so to say, of the company wallet, and could directly from its system send a verifiable receipt to the employer, and Rami didn't have to act in between there with his personal wallet in any way, but the information was relayed directly to the employer for travel expense management. So that was a nice case. Another case that we started on and has definitely a lot of automation potential was the Know Your Customer case, and especially there are lots of different Know Your Customer cases. We focused in EWC on opening a corporate bank account in another country, which is today quite tricky. And in this particular case, we had a fictitious Finnish bank to the right. The relying party was an online bank in Finland, and the German small minor company Robert Bosch GmbH was represented by a person called Felix Fischer, and the process was pretty straightforward. Actually, Felix was first authenticating himself in the online bank with a personal wallet showing his personal identification data, the PID, and then stating that he's a representative of Robert Bosch and would like for Robert Bosch to open a bank account in Finland. And the relying party, the bank, then of course asked Felix to present some facts about this, and Felix was then allowed to use the Robert Bosch's business wallet and to show both the legal PID, so the legal identifier of Robert Bosch, and then also an important document called the EU company certificate, which is kind of an uniformed, harmonized business register extract that will be introduced by the member states in EU, I think next year, because the directive was in place already a year ago. So with this information, the bank could then accept that, okay, Felix Fischer is mentioned in the EU company certificate as a legal representative of Robert Bosch. And therefore, Felix Fischer is a person who has the right, the power to represent the company and also to start this bank account opening process. So it was kind of the authentication part actually of the KYC process, and there of course needs to be additional documents included here, but this was a good start anyway, and we did it online and piloted this in a test environment. Now in the next stage, of course, then the question is, could we actually skip Felix altogether and maybe even enable that the systems of a company would just share the information with another party, with a relying party like a bank, just kind of by pushing the button in the starting point that there is someone in the company that wants to start the KYC process for opening a corporate bank account in another country, and then these wallets on both sides would just discuss, and the other one would ask for the necessary information, and the other one would present the necessary information in the verifiable credential format. And there could even be some AI agent checks here on both sides regarding the compliance rules. So humans would be involved only for credit risk. And the end result here would be the benefit that the process would be very fast, very cheap, and then this onboarding could be reused and not repeated. By reusing, we mean that actually you could check the credibility of or the status of the customer's information every day if you would like to. It's not since the information is not tied to papers or PDF documents or things like that, then the online bank could have a system in place that would ask for the same information that was presented last week, could ask it to this week and see whether everything is in order. So there's, for instance, the information about ultimate beneficial ownership and share capital and things like that. And if something changes, then there will be a red flag lifted on either side that hey, there's something wrong in this connection now. Then another really interesting case that promises a lot is the public procurement, and especially not only public procurement inside a country, but in cross-border situations. So on a European level, public procurement, it's big business, and it should be made easier for the participants to participate in public procurements in other member states. We had a test that we didn't manage to carry out in EWC. It was mainly our colleagues in Norway who did an internal test that you can see the picture here, that was based on the fact that you would have a national tender platform that would issue the tender offer that any participant is allowed then to bid for this. And then there needs to be some checks for eligibility. Is the company who wants to participate in the tender, is it eligible to participate? And it would share those attestations mainly from the national registries through its wallet. So there would be some checks about the business from the business register, and maybe something from tax, and maybe some other attestations also that will be automatically checked in the system. And of course, if you take this then to the next level, we thought of now together with our Nordic colleagues about an example where we could have for instance, a Danish municipality would publish an EU-wide tender, and that would lead to all the potential participants in this tender would be looking, would have maybe even AI agents in place that would be waiting for a possibility like this. We're waiting for a tender like this, and then issue all the necessary documents automatically over to the tender platform. So they would have, the participants would in their business wallets already have all necessary credentials, exclusion grounds, clearance, tax and social compliance, and sector-specific qualifications and things like this. And even bidding mandates or things, depends on what you need. And if we would have things in place on a European level, that these tenders would be published in a machine-readable form, and then the even smaller and medium-sized enterprise could have authorized AI agents who would, first of all, check the tender and detect that, okay, our company is eligible. Let's just present the attestations and show that everything is in order. And then we would express give the expression of interest, and on the other side, the contracting authority would verify these credentials instantly. No documents exchanged, just data is presented and checked. And this would also speed up the process really much. And you could, in the public procurement, actually, once the tender is given to someone, so someone has been awarded, you could even do some checks afterwards, like are the requirements still in place that we put for the tender a year ago? Is the company that won the tender, is it still fulfilling those requirements? And that could be done every day or every minute if you would like to have. So that would lead to big savings according to the experts on public procurement. Actually, this would be a really good return on investment case also. Regarding other use cases, we have in the WE BUILD large-scale pilot that I'm mainly focusing on now, we have 13 use cases only. I didn't want to present them all in this list here. The most interesting ones are definitely the know your customer, know your supplier, know your business partner case that deals with all kinds of different know your something cases. Then we have create a branch. It's also quite interesting that a company wants to create a branch in another member state and does that as automatically as possible. It's a kind of a similar case as the KYC. It's just a register, business register that checks the attestations. Then we have a number of payments cases also, and also the question of business access to OOTS. So that's the once only technical system in EU. So there's some information already decided that it would be shared by governments between each other through the single digital gateway, and businesses might be interested in getting that type of information into their own business wallets also and use it for their own purposes. So that could be interesting. And then we have some specific EU, like the logistics cases from transports from EFTI, and then in general PEPL. So the supply chain. Well, all of the documents that belong to the PEPL community are also potential attestations and could be turned into verifiable credentials if we would like to have them in the business wallets in that way. So that's a possibility. And then outside We Build, it's a bit sad that we didn't get the public procurement inside the We Build. There wasn't at the moment enough interest or enough participants. Same thing was actually regarding the digital product passports. They were for a long time on the list, but there were not enough participants in that part at that stage when we made the bid for We Build. And then personally, I'm really interested in the question of how to use business wallets in the context of international trade, and there we have ongoing actually through UNCFAC. There is this pretty new project called UNVTD. So it's verifiable trade documents. And of course, verifiable trade documents, according to UNCFAC, they are to be implemented as verifiable credentials. So we are talking W3C credentials. And the semantics are then defined by UNCFAC mainly through the buy, ship, pay vocabulary, but also other identified vocabularies. And there's a connection also to the ICC DSI's KTDDE specifications for trade documents, which are kind of on a higher level, 36 identified trade documents on that level that are then to be implemented as verifiable credentials, and that's work ongoing. I'm personally also participating in that and trying out different structures for these trade documents that would fit different business processes. Conclusions about this. If we think of AI agents or agentic AI as a possibility that we want to rely on, then I think we really need the combination of trustworthy information and semantically interoperable information. So we would have processes where the AI agents would be the active parties, but they would be allowed to access information from business wallets and understand information from business wallets through the vocabularies that the verifiable credentials would be tied to. And AI agents actually could be also given a kind of power of attorney, also in the format of an attestation by the business that would state what is the specific agent allowed to do, for instance, regarding bidding or sales or anything. We are trying to actually develop a generic so-called general mandate attestation model that could enable a business to hand over any type of a mandate or power of attorney to either another person, another company, or even an agent. That's really, really interesting. And then just as a recap about why the EU EDI wallet, the smartphone-based wallet, wouldn't be enough. Well, as I presented, we think that the business processes, that businesses want to use wallets in a digital identity. The processes are long-lived, they're parallel, they're complex, and they are mainly system to system. So if you would try to use mobile wallets in this context, that wouldn't probably be enough. Because mobile wallets assume user presence and consent per interaction. So there's always a person pushing the button and accepting a request to present things, and that's not how business process should work. So the EU business wallet, on a minimum, it should be server-side, it should be policy-driven, and also then accessible over APIs, so that internal systems inside the company can actually access the wallet and use it as a kind of interface for communication. Yeah, well, just some points here. Let's skip that one. And yeah, okay. There was just this slogan that I wanted to. So kind of so the business wallet is not really a UDI wallet for companies, but it's a new execution layer for the single market. But the success depends on not only introducing a business wallet as such, but we need to have shared vocabularies and verifiable credentials, and then the semantics also need to be AI compatible, so that we can build a execution layer that rests partially on the business wallet, but also other capabilities need to be introduced. Otherwise, we risk of just digitizing paper. And I've stumbled upon that during the last weeks when I've led the semantics work, and we are looking at different attestation designs, so the kind of data models for the attestations. And the interesting thing is that even if we are talking about business wallets and digital identity, then the starting point of all these attestation is usually a paper form. So that's the list of information that is to be shared in a business process, and there's lots of overlapping information about people's addresses and contact points, telephone numbers, even fax numbers and things like that are included in the proposals for an attestation. But personally, I think it's totally irrelevant. I mean, you only need the identifier of the company, the identifier of the person, and maybe then the identifier of the agent, and other information is stored elsewhere then. In the Nordic context, I had to lift in. I got actually a fresh comment from the Finnish government, from the Minister of Finance, about the European business wallet proposal right at the time when I was having this presentation. So I showed the presentation to my colleagues at the Finnish Minister of Finance, and they just commented that, great, Mikael, a good presentation. And what they wanted to lift up regarding their comment to the parliament, actually in the Finnish parliament, about the discussion on the EU business wallet regulation proposal, that they promote it, but they see, of course, that the greatest benefits of this type of business wallets are only achieved when they are widely used in information exchange between economic operators. And they pointed out also that the B2B is really crucial. The kind of negative thing in the EU business wallet proposal, or the lack of well, it doesn't currently promote the development of interoperable procedures. These are assumed to emerge through sector-specific legislation, and we might need some active governance body to promote these things somehow, so that they will be in place. I mean, otherwise we just get the business wallets, but not the ecosystem around this thing that we need. And the last point was also lifted by the Minister of Finance. Actually, there's I think every EU member state has an internal discussion about the possibilities of AI, generic AI, and generative AI, and AI agents, and agentic AI, and whatever you want to call it. But really, the possibility to actually authorize AI agents through attestations, or through kind of digital powers of attorney, that is a prerequisite for enabling automated use of business wallets. So that was one thing they lifted up from the discussion. I think personally, I had some extra slides here, but they are not relevant for the discussion, so I could stop here. There's a nice picture somewhere here. This is my final slide. I used this type of a picture in the national presentation of this same subject. I was discussing with the municipalities and the regions. They asked me to present the business wallet, and they are told that it's actually we need to introduce, at least on a national level, a new type of infrastructure. That the wallets are not enough. You need semantics, you need a data foundation, so you need kind of a data space with its own semantics, and then the wallets are just the tools to distribute and share the information. And then there are other capabilities and building blocks that are needed in order to enable the wanted automation of different, especially of business processes. So I just in this picture actually listed things that we have been testing on a national level in different contexts, that there needs to be certain type of capabilities among the business participants that should be in place. But just to show the context, that the wallet itself is not enough. It's just a tool, and you need other capabilities also, and you need a discussion at least nationally, but hopefully on the EU level, what type of capabilities are needed to be introduced in order to enable automated business processes. So just as an input for that. I think that was my final final slide.
Thank you so much, Michael. Very, very clear.
Okay.
I have questions as usual, but I will let others go first. Questions for Michael? Hans Peter.
Thank you so much. I hope I don't have to wait for half a minute before my microphone works. Does
No,
it
no,
work?
it works fine.
Cool, thank you. Thanks a lot. It was super interesting, Mikael. I'm unfortunate that you did not get the DPP inside your group. Do you? But do you have any communication? Is it a comparable group working on the DPP side from EBW perspective?
Well, there are some active contacts to the DPP community, mainly. I should probably mention the German company Sferity, who has been very active on that in that front. And regarding the semantic interoperability issue, of course, DPPs are building very heavily on the assumption that the DPP will be a verifiable credential that is based on some common vocabulary, and there is this UNTP vocabulary presented already by or whatever the actual vocabulary is called, I don't remember, but the traceability protocol from the UNCFACT is kind of a basis for to my knowledge, for the DPP on a global scale, and that's a parallel thing in my mind, that we have this business community that we are trying to be developed on a European level at least, and we are trying to define a vocabulary for basic entities and basic properties for the businesses, and that they are supposed to be used throughout in all types of attestations. And then the DPP is just a specific type of attestation which contains lots of valuable information about the products that these business actors are then producing and selling and maintaining and things like that. So there's an really interesting connection here between like the business actors and then the products and the information about them.
Thanks.
Min? Min, can you turn on your microphone? Can you turn on your microphone? Or you cannot?
Yeah.
Hi, Min.
Yeah, hi. I'm sorry I cannot turn on my camera, but thank you, Michael, for the very clear presentation. Interesting. I have been talking to a responsible economic operator outside of Europe, and the question is, how can we then interconnect this development of EU business wallet with organizations outside of Europe?
That's a crucial question, I think. Luckily, there's at least there's one opening for this cooperation in the business wallet regulation proposal itself. In Article 18, I think it's proposed that kind of the ecosystem and the whole business wallet concept should be open to any business participant from any country, like also outside the EU. Of course, there would be some prerequisites for that, how you would, as a non-EU based economic operator, would be able to join the family, so to say, and get this type of a capability. But I don't think that's even necessary. I mean, if we had a discussion last year already with Singapore during EWC, and it was in May 2025. We had the Swedish business register and the Finnish tax Minister of Finance presenting our ideas for a business wallet at that point. And I think the conclusion was that once you have something in place that is interoperable technically, that you can actually, if someone wants to produce a business wallet, but it's just a question then of the protocols that we can actually exchange information. And then you have to agree, of course, in the business process that every participant, what are they using? Because this business wallet proposal is that it's the market that will develop the business wallet. So these wallets will not be developed by EU member states or facilitated by EU member states. So it's actually, I think this opens up for a global possibility, because businesses in EU want to have global possibilities. I'm definitely
I think so. Thank you. Can I add just one more short remark, as Hang Yong is also on the line? Yes, GS1. We are aware of the fact that GS1 is issuing LEI identifier globally. So maybe is there some link to start a pilot, maybe linking that to the interoperability of EU wallet to see how we can connect that? Because in my opinion, LEE has been recognized internationally.
Yeah, and it's correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's GLAIF is the instance, or is it? I mean, it's issued by. But anyway, we just we actually interesting. We just last week we made the proposal for the the attestation data model of an LEI attestation for the EU business wallet in WE BUILD in the large scale pilot. So we acknowledge that it's one of the most important attestations for global business, that you are not only trying to identify yourself with the so-called EU ID for a business that is issued by the member state business register, but you need probably also to have other identifiers, and the LEI is one very important. I mean, there are others, of course. There's the EORI and but yeah. So yeah, it would be that in a business process, the participants would agree on how are you supposed to identify yourself as a business entity, and then the criteria could be that please you have to present an attestation, an LEI attestation. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
And this would mean that GLAIF would be issuing these attestations?
Yeah.
And are they they want to do that?
I assume they would like to do it, but then we are going into technological discussions about how it should look like, because I know the GLAIF is interested in, I don't know what they are, in carry and ACDC and.
We know that there are global companies that are requesting LEI, so form with an issue by GS1 organization.
I think in Finland, for instance, that could be. I mean, the business register registers all LEIs. If a company has acquired one from GLAIF, then you can see it in the business register. So it could actually be shared by the business register. Like it could be used as. I don't know if that's possible, but anyway, then it would be trustworthy if the business register of Finland gives an attestation that says that we have a national business ID, and then the company also has an LEI. That should be enough. But that's just the Finnish case. I don't know how it's in other countries, of course.
Rembrandt?
Yeah, just a more institutional question, Michael. Thank you for the presentation, very insightful. Is the logic still the case that in all cases the digital certificates also for the business wallets will be certificate authorities? Because here also we could imagine that we have, say, business-to-business transactions, and you may have non-government wallet applications and other developments towards different type of certificate authorities that are not directly government accredited.
Are you referring to the source of the attestations?
The source of the attestations.
So far, we have mainly been talking about the so-called QEAAs or pub EAAs in the wallet context, that they stem from a trustworthy register, an official source. But in the business wallet context, I think it will be crucial to acknowledge that a lot of business-related information is actually issued by either the company itself or a third party, or some. I mean, it's not like it's only part of the information to be shared which stems from any national registries or similar. But that discussion has just started. I mean, it's really inside EU. The wallet discussion is so much focused on the personal wallet and the fact that a person will share trustworthy governmental information through the wallet. So that's the big thing right now. But let's hope that the discussion goes towards that. Okay, this business wallet, hey, it's a tool for sharing any type of information. What is the source of the information? It can be anything, and then it's a question of how to make it trustworthy, how to prove that the source of the information is, well, if it's the company itself, then it shouldn't be a problem. Probably it would show some credentials about itself that makes it trustworthy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Michael, do you still have a few minutes?
Yeah.
Yes.
No problem.
Okay. Good. So, are you aware of the W3C charter from Verifiable Credential Working Group on vocabularies for the business wallet and DPP?
I'm aware, but I haven't. It's I've of course been asked about that, since it's based on the work that I'm leading, kind of, or the content of the vocabulary. Then of course I had to give my permission to try to push it to W3C, and it's my dear friends in Spherity who have established the connection, and I think it's a very positive thing to have that possibility to. But let's see where it leads. I mean, we still have lots of work with the actual vocabulary. I mean, we have just gotten started, so it has to be stable, and it has to be qualitative also, and useful.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where we can get through during the period of the WE BUILD Consortium.
So you were hoping that some kind of EU interoperability, I don't know, governance or framework or something would would come and take over your work, or
exactly. I mean, we're just a project, and once the project ends in September 27, then all the pens drop, and at that point it would be really kind of crucial if we would have some sort of an agreement. I have to admit, I don't know how that will be. There are some models for it. I mean, for instance, if we look at PEPL, the open PEPLs, which is spreading. It's covering the whole world at the moment. Already there are lots of countries who accept PEPL documents. They are UBL based semantically. So that was also a large-scale pilot some 12, 13 years ago, and then they just decided to introduce a governance body as a Belgian association, Open PEPL, and they decided the semantics, kind of the PEPL documents, and try to push, especially the e-invoice is there. So that's one model of how to do it, but there might be others also. But that's actually one of the things we are asking the EU Commission. What would you want to? I mean, how do we go further than after the September 27 when the actual project ends?
So we have exactly the same problem, except we end in April 27.
Oh, a bit earlier. Okay.
I fully relate to your problem. And that's why the W3C work is probably a place where we want to invest, because
I think so too.
worst comes to worst, at least something continues to live on somewhere.
Exactly.
Do you have if you have any information on how PEPL went ahead to build their association and their funding model for that would be most interesting. I don't think you need a lot of money.
No,
but you do need some.
Yeah. Then again, it's how far. I mean, that was really the PEPL case was really start really small and scale reasonably slow. Think large, but anyway, it's still scaling, of course, and that's already 10 years in the making. So I would hope that in the context, because especially the EU Commission is putting so much prestige now on they really lifting this EU business wallet thing as I think it's a key enabler here now, and I hope that there will be some money and resources involved also in the support of a community that would use the business wallet, and thereby also on the semantically interoperable attestations and so forth. So, but remains to be seen. I don't know.
So I'm just checking that I'm not the only one asking. Okay, nobody else has their hand up. So I continue with my questions. So about e-invoicing, is this the mandatory regulation that is becoming mandatory now? It's XML based, if I'm not mistaken. We agree, right? It's XML based, so this is not VC based work.
Yeah, and now that's a trick. This is a tricky one. I mean, actually, the demand is not based on any format. I mean, technically, it's the semantics suddenly that is of importance. There's the CEN EN 16931, the so-called European norm for e-invoices that is supposed to be followed. And the e-invoices, regardless actually of their technical implementation format, they just should follow the semantic structure of that recommendation. And those kind of invoices should be mandatory in place by 2030. So all PDF and other versions should be substituted by something that is in structured format and carries that semantic information that is specified by the European norm for e-invoices. But then the technical output, how are you going to implement that? There are different options.
Mm-hmm.
One is UBL 2.1, and PEPL is relying on the fact that it's totally UBL based. So it's a UBL syntax structure you're following in PEPL, in the PEPL invoice. But the other one, equally important, is the cross-industry invoice by UN-CFACT. And what does UN-CFACT do at the moment? Well, it wants to transform old-fashioned documents into verifiable credentials. Interesting. So in the end, I envision something that in 2030 you are actually still allowed to use PEPL documents, which are XML-based, but you could also be allowed to use a verifiable credential with the same information.
Mm-hmm.
Say that this is the new cross-industry invoice, which it will be. I mean,
I looked at that CEN thing and I thought the serialization was XML, but maybe I misunderstood.
Which
the CEN harmonized standard EU harmonized EU norm.
Well,
for e-invoices.
it's not. It's actually just pointing to. I mean, it doesn't actually have the actual norm states that this is a semantic definition of the invoice, and then it leaves what it calls. It leaves the syntactic implementation to existing standards, and thereby, of course, I mean, everyone assumes that the standard then, like what the actual message is, that it's an XML-based message. But it shouldn't prohibit it to be something. If you can show that the semantics in the norm are followed also by a verifiable credential and JSON LD or whatever, it should be possible to introduce it as in parallel as a different technical format. But that's just me thinking out loud.
Nico?
Yeah, just to ask, maybe, Karen, you're referring to XBRL language as the XML syntax with regards to financial reporting?
No, that's different. No, it's kind of the connection there is quite clear, actually, if you have the actual invoice, which carries the transaction information of a business transaction, like who sells what to whom and how much money is involved there. Then that is, of course, then put into the ledgers, and then it's turned. It's kind of the basis for the XBRL information, which is then the reporting about the financial statement and the annual accounts and things like that. So there's a connection here, and that's actually what the Finnish government also wants to promote, that use PEPL for invoices, and thereby you make it much easier to produce XBRL-based financial data. It could be automated, even that you could drop the bookkeepers away in between. Maybe.
I was just asking Karen, maybe her connection with referring to XML was due to XBRL being in the bigger picture. That was my.
I don't know what XBRL is, Nico.
It's extensive business reporting language. It's basically a simple structure, but it's complex due to the taxonomy. So it's a long ledger taxonomy about what, like this transaction in my invoice or my accounts. That's the, and then the XBRL is the technical format for expressing the, well, basically the yearly financial statements, and those should be machine readable and shareable.
Okay. I had another question on, and this is a little bit more complex because I've started to think about, so Michael, I don't know if you're aware, but the DPP cannot really fully be the DPP if we don't have the wallets, if we don't have the business wallets. Because the DPP, the European regulator, put requirements in the DPP legal texts that are that are impossible to meet if you don't have business wallets.
Okay.
And in particular, they put in the legislation that market surveillance authorities all over Europe would have access to sensitive data in different DPPs that are everywhere, stored decentrally. You cannot do this unless you have a decentralized identification and an authorization mechanism. So without the wallet, you can't do it, right? So, of course, we were perfectly aware of this problem, but not the regulator, apparently. But when we heard of the wallet, we say, okay, we need it. All right. And now let's try to imagine how that would happen. Like, what is the credential issuing process that would allow a market surveillance agent sitting in an office in Estonia to obtain the set of credentials necessary to authenticate on a server somewhere in France, to retrieve or even write into a DPP that is stored in France somewhere, to say that a product is not compliant with the safety rules of EU, for example. Okay, it's a very complicated. It's a nice one. Yeah, it's a nice one. But I'm trying to visualize the chain of credentials that need to be issued and by whom, right?
Yeah.
In order to just in it's a thought exercise more than it's like, you see. So this sprouted my interest for this specific use case, because we know that without the wallet we can't not do it. And today we have market surveillance ministries from different member states asking us, is that actually technically feasible, right? They're wondering, is it technically feasible to do such a thing? And we think that it is technically feasible, but the complication is not the technology. The complication is the governance and the semantics, of course.
One thing I mean, isn't it all due to the level of IDs that we can introduce? I mean, we have the product on a, I don't know what you call it, it's a type level kind of, and you need to have information about that this product is produced in this way and contains this type of materials and things like that. And then one ID level is, of course, the instantiation, the one single product of that product type that needs to be tied to the product type, and then it carries information that I am a product of this product type, but I am also an individual, and there are some things that affect me as a product and need to be linked to me as my ID. That, for instance, if it's a battery and it's been repaired somewhere, then there's someone has done something to me which is different from other similar batteries or whatever products of the same type.
So identifying products is our problem in the DPP world.
Mm.
We're taking care of that part. All right. It's not this part that bothers me. What
Okay.
bothers me is more what happens if I'm working for the Estonian market surveillance authority, and I'm a human, but I have to have an attestation saying that I am indeed an employee of this market surveillance organization.
But that shouldn't be a problem. I mean, that's just an attestation that you can then ask from the
It shouldn't be a problem, but who issues these? How are they revocated? Where are they stored? And do we need a specific attestation to say that it's not sufficient to say that I am from a specific market authority? Maybe it is needed to have an attestation saying under this legal regime, under ESPR gives me this right.
Or even a specific power of attorney, maybe inside the organization, that I'm been delegated the role of doing this and these things
under that legal regime.
Under that legal regime.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the thing we're trying to get our minds around. Like, what would need to happen, and who would issue such attestations, and what is the chain of attestations, and how are they presented to that server somewhere in France that needs to recognize the authority of this bundle of attestations. I assume I'm just saying things, but I have no idea if what I'm saying is correct.
Sounds like the perfect case for yet another pilot to start.
Well, yeah.
In parallel, I mean, there's going to be a public procurement pilot in parallel. I mean, WE BUILD is just, well, there are two large-scale pilots focusing on the business wallet, and I don't know, the second one is the aptitude, which has barely gotten started. So we need more parallel initiatives that work together. That, hey, let's use these building blocks, and how do we use them? This is the business case. This type of information needs to be included and exchanged between these parties. And
I see Rembrandt has his hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is also an institutional question on who issues the attestations. So at the moment, there's no EU market surveillance authority, but it might be proposed in the EU Product Act. It's one of the options on the list. And that could be a logical body that issues for market surveillance authorities at national level. So and why I'm saying that is then you bypass the route that you can get 27 countries where each national body needs to set up attestations in 27 different systems. But this is an ongoing discussion, I think, in the EU. To what extent are we federalizing these type and centralizing these type of procedures, or are we keeping 27 systems with the same flavor, but maybe some gold plating here and there? Because, of course, the Dutch attestations are better than the Germans and vice versa.
Of course.
As you know, every country thinks they have better attestations than the other country. But yeah, there could be some kind of institutional mapping. I think, Caroline, was my suggestion that we could do in relation to this, of what could be a logical institutional route with an options analysis, if we have time, of course.
Nico?
Yeah, just to comment, I mean, generally, if you take the assumption that first of all, fact is that anybody can issue credentials, and anybody then can present it to someone, it's up the receiving party to accept them or not. Now, the question and the challenge here is, how can I verify and validate that whatever is presented to me makes sense for me within some context to accept? So assume you have a relatively static environment and a relatively static governance framework that is good and solid and has a trust infrastructure supporting it somehow and resolving some root of trust. It's easy. let's say, kind of. The problem is achieving it on national level, in EU level, on international level, and so is, well, increasingly complex, and the chances that it remains static and commonly agreed and synchronized reduce over time. So I think what comes then in place is the semantic interoperability. What does it mean that I'm, I don't know, a certified battery repairer in Germany compared to someone who has some kind of other attestation from some other? So how do you do that, and how can you have multiple roles that contextually need to be, let's say, trusted or not, based on the context of application? I think this is what increases complexity a lot.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about repair shops. That's another repairers. That's another type of stakeholder that needs such credentials.
Yeah.
I was trying to limit the problem to market surveillance authorities, but I see you want to open it up. Rembrandt.
Yeah, there's already a design, Nikolaus, to solve the repair problem. The EU repair platform is being set up, and every national country can decide what the requirements are for registering repairs on that platform. So there will be 27 country different rules. The Dutch rules will be different than the French rules, will be different than the Spanish rules, etc. But at least they have to be registered on one platform with some sort of accreditation process. And that is the case for all repairers in the country. So I think that gives a good route for repairers. Then you may ask, okay, what about refurbishers? Yeah, that we don't have. Yeah, we don't even have a legal definition yet of refurbishers. So hold your horses there, please.
What about all the other business roles that are relevant in exchanges with credentials?
Recyclers is also solved already. There are registration procedures for that as well. For transport of waste, you need to be an officially licensed waste carrier, depending on the country that has more strict or less strict rules. But there are, for a lot of these things, there are existing structures to build upon, or they are emerging. So I'm not so worried there. The problem is more, how do you shift from existing digital systems to actual interoperable semantic systems and so on, both at government and private sector level?
Yep.
And that is in your court as Fujitsu, I think, Nikolaus, on digital transformation management. So please
help us.
Help.
So you see, Michael, why you have such a great fan club here.
It's nice to have a fan club somewhere when I'm trying to find it.
and we all love semantics. You don't have to convince us we're 100% up to here in semantics. All right. Yeah. So making Ken laugh.
Don't drown in semantics.
But okay, before we start saying silly things, I think we should thank Michael and end this meeting. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. May I have your slides,
sure.
Michael?
Yeah, I'll send them. Yeah.
And I will likely publish this video on our website so that it's available for everyone. So thanks everybody for your participation. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye everyone. Bye.